Not a very practical solution, if you'll forgive me for saying so. But we'll put that aside for now. The matter I would like to address is this. You were the last known person to have seen either Timothy Easton or Richard Blunt. I would like you to tell me where they are. I don't know more than any more than you do. I parted company with them before we left the mountain country. You mean to tell me that you finished the journey on your own? No, Redcliffe took me the rest of the way. And Blunt and Easton, which direction did they go? They went back to look for the seal. Are you telling me the truth? I'll swear it. They both went off together the same night George left us. And have you had any contact with them since? No. And what would you do if either of them approached you for help? I don't know, I answered, still speaking honestly. I told you, George said, folding his arms and looking cross. She's still undecided about Easton. Salts continued questioning me as if he hadn't been interrupted. You don't know, or you won't say? I just don't know. I want to make sure they each receive a fair trial. I turned to George, and with a note of accusation I said, And the truth is, I'm not so sure they will. You doubt our legal system? Salt said. I assure you that if they are innocent, they have nothing to fear. Still, I said, since I am betrothed to one of them, I feel responsible for him. I may not be able to do much else for him, but I can at least make noise if he mysteriously disappears once he's in your hands. And what makes you think that would happen? Salts asked. I took a deep breath in order to keep my voice steady. Let me put it simply, I said, using Saltz's own words. I don't like you. Is that reason enough? He smiled, took out his watch, and examined the time by the light of the candles. He tucked the watch back into his pocket and said, Miss Blackwood, I'm not done using all my cards. You may be interested to know that there is a cash reward for information leading to the whereabouts of Blunt and Easton. A very large cash reward. You mean you know about my uncle's unpaid bills in the village? I asked carefully. I had no doubt that a man in his line of work would have already grilled every disgruntled merchant in the village. No, I mean, I know about the money you lost in Ottleton, the money that was meant to pay the back taxes on your family's estate. How did you... We questioned Esme Ablewhite this afternoon, a most cooperative woman. So, this is what I'm going to do. I will see to it that you receive the reward money being offered for the fugitives, if you will tell me where Blunt and Easton are. You don't have to answer this moment. I'll let you sleep on it. He stood up and smiled. Now, I think I'll just take a little stroll around the property and see if anything else interesting shows up. He ambled calmly out of the room. As soon as he was gone, George took Salsa's vacant seat and leaned close to me. I owe you an apology. I doubted you this morning concerning your business with your aunt. Now, I know why you were so upset when you left your aunt's house. I stood up. That's kind of you, but I don't want your pity. I want you to finish this business here and leave us alone. His face hardened. No one here believes that neither you nor Sir John Robert is ignorant about Timothy's whereabouts. If you want us to leave, tell us where he is. How do you know that either of them are even in this vicinity? Why, they could be halfway to Michaelton by now. He stood up, his nostrils flaring, because I saw you pick up that knife. The door closed with a snap behind him. I stood there longer than I should have, but I simply couldn't leave the room until I had regained some kind of composure. I was too angry, too scared, too uncertain to face anyone just yet. More than anything, I wished I knew where Timothy was. If only I knew he was safe, I could manage to relax. As it was, I felt more like throwing up. When at last I felt strong enough, I joined the others in the green salon across the hall. Here a fire was burning and several candles had been placed about the room. Lady Caroline and her sons had arrived in my absence to sit with my family. She kissed me, but she was distracted. It's good to see you, was all she said. Thomas and Trey weren't much better. They were slouched down on the couch and had barely bothered to say hello. None of this was in character. On any other occasion, Lady Caroline would have swept me aside into some corner to make me tell her all about Marissa and what the two of us had been doing the last several months. And Thomas, who was going on 18, would be trying to tell me about his latest hunting expedition, while Trey, who was 13, would be clamoring to show me the newest additions to his bug collection. I couldn't blame anyone for their bad moods. I was in a foul one myself. But then I noticed the absence of someone who should have been here but was not. Sir John Robert, I said, where is your new ward? I thought I was to meet him tonight. Henry, Trey said glumly, has come down with the mumps. I hope he's properly quarantined, Aunt Geraldine said, looking nervously around as if she might spot mislaid germs scattered about the room. Of course he is, Sir John Robert said irritably. More than one head turned to Anne, but she had already assumed an air of concentration surrounding the folds of her dress. If we're lucky, Jane said hopefully, one of these soldiers will pick it up while he's here. Sir John Robert, who was always willing to be happy if only given a little encouragement, perked up a bit and said, Bravo, Jane, that's the spirit we need here. But Trey seemed determined to be gloomy, as if that was likely to happen. He received a sharp clearing of the throat from his father. They've ruined our whole night, these soldiers, Trey protested, and now Henry's closeted away upstairs while we're stuck down here and our house is being ransacked. Tray, Lady Caroline said in a trembling voice, please, can't we talk about something else? From where she sat, I could see the wrinkled handkerchief in her lap. She opened it up, smoothed it on her lap, and then wadded it up again in her hand. Now you're upsetting your mother, Sir John Robert said. Either change the subject or go find something else to do. You told me I could show Lisbette my insect collection. Ooh, Tray, Jane said. Why would Lisbette want to see your bugs? Because I have something new to show her this time, don't I, Father? Yes, yes, Sir John Robert answered as he stood at the window watching the soldiers moving about along the trees. Will you be quiet about your stupid insect collection? Thomas asked. Can't you keep your mouth shut about anything? To save us all, Hanson came in and announced that supper was at last ready, but I had never had such a dismal meal at Steedsley before. Not that the food wasn't excellent, but the company could never manage to maintain any useful conversation. Uncle William kept making attempts to complain about how the soldiers were interrupting his tenants from doing their work properly, but no one seemed interested in sympathizing with him but Aunt Geraldine. Not even Tray, who had only been allowed to dine with adults due to Anne's presence, could find it in him to liven the party. Poor Lady Caroline hadn't touched a bite of food. Finally Sir John Robert rallied and said to his wife, My dear, did you tell Mrs. Blackwood of the alteration we're making to the ball? Lady Caroline eagerly turned to Aunt Geraldine. You'll think it terrible of us, but Sir John Robert and I have decided on a last-minute change. I know you'll be shocked, but we've decided it is to be a masked ball. The addendums were sent out just before you arrived. My aunt stared. Surely not. But why? Levity, my dear ma'am, Sir John Robert said in grim tones. Levity. With the whole town on pins and needles, we decided we would throw our coronation ball in the teeth of our enemies and show them that we will not just celebrate, but do so in the gayest of manners.